Testing 1, 2. Okay, good morning, everyone. 2021, starting a new year. So it'll be the first 24 movement short form session of the year. So we're going to start off. Uh, so wish everyone a happy new year. Hope things start to change real soon. Maybe some more students will come back. Um, things have been, fairly steady. We did have a small shutdown over the period of the last few weeks of December, but with that said, people are trickling back in from the group that came in last year. So, things are looking hopefully a little bit better. So I think last year we went over some of the postures near the end. I didn't actually go through the form. I went through the postures up to maybe grasp the sparrow's tail. So we'll probably do some of that and maybe go through the form, because some of you might have been following the videos over the period of time when we were just reusing some of the old footage. So at this point, we're going to go through the warm-ups as I usually do. Feet shoulder width. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, I have this side mirror here. I don't think you have to get this close. I don't know if it's too close for the front camera, but we're here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and stop. Okay, next we're going to do a little stretch going down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. To your left. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. One more time. Hands up. Reach down. 1, 2, 3. To your right. 2, 3. To your left. 2, 3. Center. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. So hands on your waist. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Okay, cross. Knees. Circular movements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, and reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, and stop. Center. Hands on your waist. Neck turning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Back and forth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Tilt to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2. Center. Rotating down. 1, 2, 3. Reverse. 1, 2, 3. Center. Spread your feet. Turn your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, and stop. Okay, now we're going to turn, do a little bit of stretching. I'm going to move this mirror up a little bit because I think I have to be too far up to get picked up in that corner. So, okay, so as I said, stretching is one of these things that, one of the exercises that a lot of people don't like to do, but if you get accustomed to stretching, you learn to relax. One of the things in Tai Chi is the whole body has to release tension. So it's called chuan fang song. Whole body releasing means really letting go of the joints. And what does letting go at the joints mean? Well, if you're in a position and you don't relax it, then the joint is tense. So if you're moving your hand and your elbows like this, that means this joint is tight. So you can't move when your joints are tight. And tight, not the same thing as being stiff and stretching. It means folding and sort of giving your joints some direction of movement. Now we straighten out the leg. So same applies here. We're just stretching to release the tension here, but also it allows you to free up your knees when it's time to relax. Switch. So we're just trying to go down as deep as we can, but stretching from way up high up in the top of the hamstring, closer to the butt actually. You're trying to reach down and increase the range of motion in the whole group of muscles, not just behind the knee or here. Right? Then we go to the center. Now that gets the back of the legs, but the inner thighs, you have to actually release. And this is what people don't like to do because it is sort of a painful thing if your muscles don't like it. So you have to get used to stretching in this way. If you're going to go to the downward posture, you have to do this exercise, but you can work it one side at a time. Working it one side at a time actually helps you have a little bit more control. But if you're used to doing this, I'm actually pretty comfortable just letting the legs spread like that. If you're not used to this and you let your legs spread like that, you could probably pull a muscle because of the muscle resistance that doesn't allow you to spread your feet. So it's just something that your body adapts and gets accustomed to, and it's a function of time. It's not something that happens overnight. But it's also something that doesn't happen if you don't do it. So just bear in mind that anything that we do has to be done regularly and consistently. If you stretch, say, once every 2 weeks, nothing's going to happen. Switch. So if you get into a routine of just these basic stretches, do them not intensely for long, long periods of time, but regularly, maybe 2 to 3 times a week, starting off. I could do this every day actually because, it doesn't really affect me in the way that a person is very tight would affect, because stretching does still require work on the muscle, and if it doesn't accommodate the movement right away, you will have these sort of micro tears in the muscle, or even have the muscle feel like it's tighter rather than looser right after you stretch. So sometimes people stretch for way too long a period of time, and then they're actually overworking the muscle. So anyways, it's just some insight on stretching, especially for what we do in the downward posture, and you shake it out, okay? So because I stretched the inner thigh, my back doesn't feel the stretch, but most of you that would go down there in the beginning, you see the stretch, but when you get up, your back is sore. It's because your back is actually restricting some of that stretch. So anyways, it's just experience over time. I've shown doing some of these stretches with a chair, which actually helps you pick up some of your body weight, because when you stretch, it still has to sustain your body weight, so that if you're a bit overweight, your legs might not be able to take the load. So you should use a chair or something to help you build that strength. So strength and flexibility actually have to go hand in hand. Okay, so now work the shoulders a bit. Reverse. And center. Okay, now hands by your side. We're going to swing the arms a little bit. So this kind of gets a little bit of motion in the shoulders. It's actually similar to when we lift the hands and we go like this. So we have this opening movement. Okay, now we're going to stretch the wrists. Stretching the wrists actually just kind of increases the range of the motion when you start to push, because pushing is a movement in taichi. We have single-handed push like a brush knee, or we have a simulation of a push when we do repulse the monkey. We have a double-handed push when we do leopard and tiger springs to mountain, or when we do grasp the sparrow's tail. So we want to build some flexibility in the wrists, and really what that means is that you release the tension in the forearms. The reason why your wrists don't bend is because there's tension here. It's not because the wrist doesn't fold it. What controls the pullback and the dropping really is releasing the tension. So the relaxed state of the joint is increased if you take some of this tension and rigidity out of the forearms. Okay, now put your fists together, or cross your fingers, and make some circles going in one direction, and then you reverse the direction. And you can see from a side view, this is what's happening. Stretch the fingers, lift up, let it out, bring it down, invert the hands, the fingers. So this mobility or maneuverability in motion really has to do with releasing the shoulders, releasing the shoulder girdle, the back, your shoulder blades. They have to release in order for you to get into these positions. So is there a benefit to having some of that flexibility? Definitely has tremendous benefit to increasing range of motion and helping you do the movements in the form a lot more gentle because there's less resistance. And the other thing is the completion of the circle can't be done if there's like segments of rigidity or tension. Okay, so that's what we do there, and then we're going to work this hip a little bit, make a few circles like this, work it like this a few times, work it the other way a few times. Okay, other way, other leg, bring it in, other way, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and shake it out. Okay, shaking is just letting everything go. Okay, now here we turn. Hands on the waist. So we turn on the heel. So this is pivoting, but we want to shift the weight to this leg. We don't want to just pivot and pivot. You actually don't control. This is your supporting leg. This is the pivoting foot. That's your unweighted leg. Okay, so you control the movement. It's used in turning. It's used in towing out and so forth. Now, if my feet are together like this and I turn like this, I bring my heel this way. So that actually changes a direction. If I go this way and I turn this way, it changes a direction. So you see there's different ways of pivoting the feet. There's the heel, that's the toe, and that's the heel. And then as you go forward and back, there's the forward and backward relationship. The knees fold and fold. Okay, and it happens on the other side. Forward and back, forward and back. So a lot of times when you watch someone do Tai Chi, you see this really wide stance. If you're starting out, you won't be able to do that really wide stance because of the flexibility and the strength. And because the wider you go, the more difficult it is to get out of the stance. So what's going to happen is it's going to create some tension in your movements because you're trying to control your balance, you're trying to control the reaching out, and your legs can't really take the forces, the weight of your body as a force, and you can't control that. So start off with a narrower stance. In fact, in the Tai Chi paradigm, which I teach on the other days, is the Wu style Tai Chi, which is actually much more comfortable to do because the stance is much narrower and you're not working and over putting too much of a load on the legs. And it's really not necessary if you're building the idea of improving balance and coordination and everything else that's involved with age-related degeneration. If we integrate the body, even if it's a shoulder width stance or we have a narrow profile of a stance, so certain styles of Tai Chi kind of just work with this narrower stance. And in fact, the bigger movements with the large range of motion, there's a bit of athleticism in that. But at the same time, the idea of integration of body doesn't necessarily have to go to that extent. So if you're doing movements that are much more compact, which is really more effective on the functionality side of things, because we don't do things like this big. We kind of do everything within the realm of our space, including working at home in your kitchen. You don't go into a deep stance and cook out here, where you kind of do everything over here. So as a training, you would probably be more comfortable doing movements that are more within the range of your space, and also that's compatible with what you do daily. So that's a functionality aspect. Then when you're doing Tai Chi for circulation, as long as you're moving your body in an integrated way, your circulation will improve. So, the big movements is for aesthetics, performance, competition, and possibly, build some strength. But if we're not really looking to do that, we don't need to do the giant movements. So that's just to give you some insight about why Tai Chi can be done in different sort of frameworks. The framework is the size of your movement. All right, so I'd like to move forward back into some of the form positions, and we have the shoulder width stance, we have this position, we go out like this, and we start off the form, and it's called preparation, right? We hold the ball, and we step out like this. So there's your empty stance, here's your archer stance, and you're in the part the horse's main position. Remember, we have three postures cycling through. It's the right and left, and then we have stork flaps wings, and then we turn, and we have a series of brush knee. One, there's three of them. Two, three, and then we step up like this to strum the lute. Okay, so that's the series that we've been kind of building. And if I step back here, maybe you get a brush knee, you turn to the rear corner, and I teach with geometry and joint angle positions. I like to talk along those lines because most of us can relate to the direction of that space more than just watching the movement. Because when you go to the back, some people might overturn, some people might not turn at all. So to give you the perspective that your movement is going to the back corner, which is 135 degrees to this point. So here's 90 degrees, add the 45, you're in about that direction. So when you repulse the monkey or brush knee, it still goes back to the front. And we move out like this. We move out like this. We have the half step staying on the same side. Okay? So you see how I did that step? It's a half step. Okay, this is a full step when you step through. And that happens depending on what posture you're doing. So once we get to brush knee and strum the lute, we have the repulse the monkey. So I set it up, go to the back corner, fold the elbow on the knee, and I start to go backwards. And I'm going to do this 4 times. So I'm just recapping a lot of the things that we did before the close up or the shutdown, and then we're back to here. Okay. So when we get to a hold the ball position, that's the beginning of many postures. Part the horse's mane, grasp the sparrow's tail. So that's the ward off position, or it's kind of a little bit more slanted in the part the horse's mane. So from the front view, you would see part the horse's mane like this. Ward off would be more, appears to be a little bit more horizontal. Roll back is a slanting going to the back corner. You press, this is your pressing movement. You go to a parallel arm position, I call it the square position. And here we are with 2 pushes. There's your palm push. That's why we do the stretching, okay? You have a series on 2 sides. So if I step up, I'm just doing a press like this or a press like this. I'm going to go to hold the ball, ward off. I go to the position like this, where one palm is down, your front palm is down, back one is up. I roll back. There's your 135. Here's the press. And here's your leopard and tiger springing to mountain is the push. Okay? Hook your wrist and we go to single whip. Okay, on this side it would look like this. And then we reset to here and we do cloud hands. Remember, cloud hands is moving to the left. So you're following me from behind and we're moving toward the left. It's usually done in sets of 3. Okay? So if I start from single whip and I turn to here, I'm square to the mirror or parallel to the mirror. I'm moving in the direction of the left leg. You see that? Now I go back to my right leg, hook my wrist, turn out to here, and I'm in single whip position. And so happens looks about the same as that 135 degrees. So we just use that as a guideline, a reference point, then your body will eventually understand those sort of back corners. Okay, so that's up to the cloud hands. So let's go through that as a sequence up to the cloud hands. Okay, ready? Open. Pivot, hold the ball. Part the horse's mane 3 times. Brush knee 3 times. That last one was stork flaps wings. Okay. Toe out, step up. Here's your second one, and here's going to your third. Staying on the same left-sided forward stance, sitting with that, okay, empty stance to strum the lute. Then we kind of turn the palms like this to initiate the repulse the monkey. Now you're wondering, all these movements, how does this help you improve balance? Well, if you really focus and watch the footwork, we're standing on one leg, or at least supporting the 100% of the weight. I'm doing a few extra ones so you can see that what we're controlling is our body weight. So if you're controlling body weight or sustaining your weight on one leg at a time, it's that weight-bearing exercise that we need in order to build proprioception, feedback from the soles of our feet to the head. It works your balance mechanisms in your form. And works by sustaining your body weight here. So that's repulse the monkey. And then grasp the sparrow's tail is this. And when we shift our weight, even though we still have weight between the 2 feet, you're still shifting and controlling your center of mass, your body weight, and as you start to become more comfortable with the movements, your body will learn to delete the excessive tension that's in the body. And when you get to this point where you're really sort of just maneuvering and manipulating your skeleton, then you're going to build some sensitivity and feeling of what the movements should be like. It should be smooth, the synchronization of the hands and the legs become something that your body starts to recognize. So up to this point is a recap of the things that we've done in the last, I guess in December. We did a lot of these posturing, even though we ran through the form many, many times, and I know anyone following, if we just go through the form, you're not going to be able to learn but copy and try to, figure it out. But, instead of figuring out, we're working toward building some of these postures, and that's one of the things I plan to do in 2021, especially with some of my long-term students, go back and revisit a lot of the postures, try to improve the postures, because sequentially, once you have it down, it's getting the quality of movement and a deeper understanding of what's involved in maneuvering through space, utilizing the joints in your body, and then learning to, use the mind, the motor skill part of your brain that actually helps you build the program that actually allows us to do all the things that we do on a daily basis. And we learn things visually, and we improve them through repetition, and we develop an understanding through experience. Now, that's the journey. You go through the movements over and over again, not knowing until you start to recognize it, and that becomes a knowing. So that's really, it's a process. There's really no real shortcuts to doing what we're doing. You have to do it. It takes time. I would say the more you do it, the better you would get, right? That's typical, you say that all the time, especially to kids, practice makes perfect. So, with adults, there's no different. Practice makes perfect. And along those lines, just understand that you don't have to do a tremendous amount of things. Just do what we do in doses, and as we start to evolve and improve, then it'll enter your sort of subconscious behavior, and it becomes innate over time. And anyone that's been following, or anybody that's studied with me, knows that for a fact, that process really works. So, with that said, it's about time. So I'm going to call it for today. I'll see you next time, next week, same time. And, you can revisit, watch this video, and, you can share it with your friends. Okay? And on that note, Happy New Year, and I'll see you next week.